Adding textures is easily one of my favorite parts of the design process from start to finish. And if you have access to a printer or a scanner, it opens up a whole other world of methods and techniques to bring a sort of grungy, gritty texture and effect that you can't really get by doing it all digitally in Photoshop. So in this video, I'm going to be running through some of the ways that I do that, as well as showing you guys some examples of work that I've done using those techniques, so you can kind of see like a real life application of it. I definitely wanted to point out that it's not necessary to have a printer or a scanner to do a lot of these techniques. A good alternative to using a scanner is just using your phone if you have one. Honestly, nothing wrong with just taking a photo of your work and then chucking it into Photoshop and working from there. And a lot of these techniques, if you don't have a printer, you could apply these to sort of other physical media like collage work. You can still make a lot of cool artwork with just the things that you have. It just so happens to be that I have a printer and a scanner, so a lot of my methods come from that. Now my first method, it's probably my favorite, I'm just starting off strong, is to use tape. I recommend getting the cheapest, like most budget tape possible. One, because it's cost effective, and two, because I think it just does the job so much better. The way that I do it is I rip off parts of tape at a time and kind of just put it down anywhere on the page, just anywhere you kind of want to add the texture, and then rub your thumb over it just so it sticks to the page a bit more. And then from there, you kind of just want to peel it back off, and either that's going to slowly like take a bit of the ink off, or it's even just going to rip the paper fully off. And I think either way, it's going to look great, like a really cool, grungy, gritty effect that you can't really get doing it digitally. And I think there's also that kind of magic and authenticity in not knowing what the actual effect is going to look like after you've put the tape on. I think it's just super cool, makes it look really awesome, and works really well with colored paper, I've found. And a side note as well, if you get one of these little like tape dispensers that have the metal ridges, it's great because you can kind of just like scratch at the page with this. It's so cool. I only just recently started doing this myself. You can leave cool scratches, you can leave little puncture marks. It's really cool. The next method, keys. Literally just any key. All I do is just kind of put it up to the paper and then just kind of add a bit of pressure and then make small little cuts. I think my favorite poster that I used this on was the Feline Fury poster. It gave this kind of cool effect where it looked like a cat had scratched it, but you can also use the keys just to kind of scratch at the paper. Kind of leaves a bit of the metal behind, which I think is really cool. Another thing that I love to do, which is getting into the more collage-y realm of design, I guess, but is to kind of just keep ripping paper and then adding it on and forming this sort of collage, either using the same design or the same design on different colored paper, which I've done a few times now. And I think there's a really cool method to doing it, and I know it's just literally ripping paper, but if you rip it at a certain angle and you're a little more methodical about it, you can get a better effect on the paper tears. Basically, the way that I do it, if you want to put a section of a different piece of paper onto another piece of paper, you kind of want to keep that part flat on the desk and then pull with your other hand the top of the design that you don't want. And what this does is essentially leaves like a bit of the ink coming through the top of the tear, and I think that looks really cool once you start putting it together. Or you could just rip it however you want and leave it as it is. I think either way looks great. Do whatever you want, do whatever looks great for your design. This is just one way that I do it. Another thing that I really like doing, if you have a printer and you're printing out your designs, really simple trick, just print on both sides. It's really cool because if you scan it in, chances are, depending on the thickness of your paper, you're going to be able to see some of that ink on the other side come through on the front. Probably my favorite one that I've done is my Taylor Swift You're Losing Me poster. You can see bits of the details on the other side come through, and I think that works so well with the design, especially because it's really like punky vibe. Want to make sure that the parts of the design on the other side of the page properly come through in that negative space. Otherwise, it's not really going to come through and it's going to be a waste of ink. But yes, aside from, you know, the usual folding your paper and then scanning it in to get that, you know, folded paper aesthetic, that kind of covers like the main things that I do. I know there's a lot of stuff that I want to try, like using a nail filer, for example. So I'm always on the lookout for really cool methods and things, you know, to try out. So if you have any recommendations, please chuck them down in the comments. But yeah, there's probably millions of ways, you know, you can add texture physically to your design. These are just sort of the, you know, techniques that I use nowadays and some of my favorite ones. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm definitely going to try and get into, you know, sharing my experiences more, sharing my techniques, how I do things. Anyways, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And also, if you just want to see some other content from me, please do let me know. Give me some suggestions on design videos. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.